Story 1. My roommate doesn't want to live with me again after I watched Jurassic Park movies while his girlfriend was at our apartment. I, 22 male, am finishing up my last year of college and live with my best friend, 23 male. He has a girlfriend, 20 female, that he's been with for about 6 months. She's pretty shy, and whenever she's at our apartment, they're pretty much always just hanging out in my friend's room. They will very rarely hang out in common areas for extended periods of time. So suffice to say that even though I've known her for half a year, I know very little about her and wouldn't say I know her very well personally. This past weekend, I was scrolling through Netflix to find something to put on in the background while I study for finals. I found The Land Before Time, which was one of my favorite movies growing up because my older brother used to always play it for me when he babysat me. So I turned it on and just kind of had it on. My roommate and his girlfriend came by, and my roommate noticed the movie I was watching. He commented that he hadn't seen it in years since he was a kid. He asked his girlfriend if she's ever seen it, and she said no. She said that she wasn't allowed to watch any movies with dinosaurs because her religion doesn't believe in them and believed that their fossils were put in the ground by God as a test. Needless to say, I was caught off guard. Of course, I had a million questions, but for some reason my brain went towards dinosaur movies instead of her religion. I asked if she had seen any of the Jurassic Park movies, and she said no. I told her some of them are really good and suggested we have a dinosaur movie marathon. She said she doesn't want to watch any movie that goes against her beliefs. I said, okay, and didn't push it, and then quickly retreated back to my roommate's room. But it did kind of make me want to watch Jurassic Park movies. I have the first 2 on Blu-ray, so I found those and started watching them. Neither my roommate or his girlfriend came out of the room much the rest of the day, except for to get something from the kitchen or to go to the bathroom. After I finished the second movie, I left to meet up with some friends. I stayed at a friend's place that night after drinking, and when I got back to my place, my roommate immediately laid into me. He said that I was very disrespectful to his girlfriend by playing Jurassic Park movies immediately after she told me it goes against her religious beliefs. He said I made her very uncomfortable and that they both agree I did it on purpose to mock her beliefs. I told him I don't care at all about her beliefs and that all I did was watch movies in my own place. I told him it's not my problem what her religious beliefs are, and if she gets that upset about dinosaur movies, then I'm honestly kind of surprised she can't go through day-to-day life without having an existential breakdown. He told me that he doesn't want to live with me again after our lease is up at the end of the month. We had already been looking at renewing our lease or finding a new place, but I think they're seriously overreaching. No communication. You wanted to watch Jurassic Park movies. Maybe you could have said, hey, I'm going to watch these in the room. I know you guys hang out in the room. Is it okay? Maybe if you wanted to be nice. Maybe they could have been nice and say, hey, could you not watch these movies? I know we're out here. Or maybe just shut up and just realize that he was using the common space that you guys didn't use at all and just let him watch. There's a lot of stuff that people aren't communicating here, and it's all just blowing up, and everybody's kind of overreaching here. Little communication could go a long way. Story 2. My best friend's mistress doesn't know that he's actually broke. My wife's reaction to the whole thing really bummed me out. My, male 41, best friend Jack, male 41, since kindergarten, cheated on his wife Anna, female 39, with a girl half his age, Max, female 25. Anna is one of the best human beings I've ever met. She's very beautiful, kind, and caring. She's very successful, too. When Jack met her, he was so in love that he wrote an ironclad prenup just to be with her. In other words, Jack has nothing to his name. He met Max on a work trip, and it was then that he cheated on Anna. The affair lasted for 2 months until Max made an ultimatum to leave his wife for her. Jack refused and tried to end the affair, so Max told Anna everything. This broke Anna beyond repair, and she told Jack that she couldn't forgive him. They're in the process of divorcing now, and Jack lives in a small studio apartment near his work. After Jack lost hope of reconciling with Anna, he started seeing Max again. Now, they're officially dating. My wife, Pat, female 32, knows all the details. She's a more forgiving and understanding person than I am, and I love that about her. She is way more tolerant because I am Team Anna, and there's nothing Jack can say to make me change my opinion. Now everything is settled, my wife said that she wanted to invite Jack and his new girlfriend to our place. I was very reluctant at first, but my wife insisted that my friendship with Jack is important. We're basically brothers, and we should accept people we love even with their flaws. It made sense, and I trust my wife to always make sense. The dinner was awkward. I couldn't see past these two cheaters. Jack pretends to be happy, and Max is overexcited over the fact that she won this prize named Jack. I understood then that things won't be the same, but my wife was right. I love Jack, and that's the most important thing now. Max talked about her upbringing and the hard life she had growing up. She talked about her future with Jack and all of the fun they would have. It dawned on me that she didn't know that they couldn't do half of what she's dreaming of with Jack's salary. It dawned on me why she chose him and why she was so willing to hurt an innocent woman that way. She had learned to know the Jack who lived in fancy hotels and drove a fancy car. When I asked her about the living arrangements, Max said that Jack temporarily is living in a studio apartment until the divorce is settled. Max talked about what she would do to their place, renovation and redecorating. The apartment that Anna bought for her family with her hard-earned money. The one she decorated with her husband from scratch to make it their home. I remember how happy and full of dreams she was when she found her dream home. To hear Max sitting there, talking about how she would use money she never earned to redecorate a home she wasn't entitled to, making fun of another woman's taste and style, it brought tears to my eyes. Yes, men can get emotional too. Jack has not told Max the truth. When they left, Pat and I started discussing our dear friends. I was very surprised when Pat angrily told me that I was cruel and callous for not wanting to enlighten Max about her new situation. My wife thought that Max had a tough life and she deserved to have a good life now. I was taken aback by my wife's logic. I told my wife that I will not tell Max anything, but if that she wanted, then to be my guest. But now I don't understand my wife, and I'm turned off by her morals. Anna was a great friend to my wife, but my wife doesn't seem to give a rat's butt about her. My wife then got very angry and accused me of caring too much about Anna. That's when I ended the discussion because I realized that this was going below the belt. I'm kind of wondering about this person's wife now. Did she set this all up because she thought that she wanted a front row seat to the revelation that Jack was broke or something? I think it kind of makes her sound kind of conniving and just wanted a front row seat to the meltdown. I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Story 3. Insult my mother? Say goodbye to your parking spot. My neighbor is a grumpy old man. He was the first person living on this street, and he treats the street as his private property. And he parks his car on the street in front of his house. Next to his house is an elementary school. Every morning, parents are dropping off kids, and they briefly stop their cars somewhere on our street to do so. Since this street is apparently ruled by my neighbor, he has put up no parking signs everywhere and screams at anyone who dares to defy his rules. I was tolerating this behavior since it didn't affect me personally. Not my business. However, at one point, my mother came to visit. As she was walking past his house, the neighbor came flying out of the house screaming insults, sending drops of saliva all over my mother. I think the neighbor thought that a car parked on the street in front of his house was hers, and when she said it was not her car, he accused her of not accepting responsibility, not respecting his authority, etc. It got so bad that other passerby had to try to calm him down before his threats would go from words to action. My mom said she had never been so insulted in her entire life. I decided that enough was enough. I petitioned the authorities that the street was too narrow to allow two-way traffic with cars parked on the side. Shortly thereafter, the neighbor's no parking signs were gone, and they were replaced by official one, meaning that the neighbor will be fined if he parks in front of his house. The neighbor has no garage or anywhere else to park his car. A very satisfying petty revenge. Wow, so where do people park their cars on these streets? Is this person the only one not to have a garage or some sort of parking lane on his property to park? Is his house just that old? And be careful of who you tick off. There are other people living on this street. It's a shame that he doesn't talk to anybody else. Story 4. My bridesmaid accepted her role in a way that hurt my heart. I asked 3 women to be my bridesmaids with a small gift. I asked each woman privately at their homes while visiting so it could be a heartfelt personal moment between us alone. One bridesmaid I'll call A is a kind-hearted woman I've known for more than half my life, who's been with me through some serious ups and downs, including the passing of a child. I have known I wanted her to be part of my wedding party for many years. She's even offered to host in her backyard when I was brainstorming budget venues. A doesn't have many close friends, but I'm not her only friend, and she's significantly older than I am, so she's talked to me about plenty of weddings she's attended before. I just assumed that she'd be a bridesmaid before, since she has long-term childhood friends who are married. She's even talked about helping with setup for weddings, hence my assumption. But when I asked her to be my bridesmaid, she burst into tears and said, "You're so sweet. You don't have to make me your bridesmaid, though." Confused, I asked, "Why wouldn't I want you to be my bridesmaid?" And she said, "I've never been pretty enough to be a bridesmaid." Oh, I was flabbergasted. Apparently, all her other friends asked for her help, both labor and money, but never allowed her to be in photos because she's overweight, like straight up shooing her out of photos. I can't even imagine doing something like that to a person who's given so much of herself for me over the years. Who gives a smeg what she looks like? I reassured her repeatedly that she is pretty, and I don't care about her weight. I care about her heart, and she's done more than enough to deserve a place beside me at my wedding, whether or not she hosts it in her backyard. But I feel sad and infuriated that what was supposed to be a moment of joy and excitement between us was dampened by a lifetime of others ruining her self-esteem. I feel like I'm going to lunge at her childhood friends next time I see them because I'm so ticked to find out how they treated her. She deserves better friends. There are some people that do deserve better friends, who have friends that just really don't treat them well. I'm sure you probably know someone, or you've probably been someone that didn't realize it until much later. And it's just great that this person can finally be a bridesmaid and be recognized for the person that they are. It's really nice that this person is able to give that to her.
Please like and subscribe if you made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 5. My brother ransacked my room. I cost him a job, prevented him from sleeping, and jacked up his phone bill. Let's set the scene. It's 2010. I had just turned 18, and spent a long summer week away from home enjoying my new freedom to come and go from my parents' house as I pleased. During the week, I crashed at friends' houses, went camping with other friends, video games, and all the cigarettes and tobacco products and snacks me and my friends could afford. My substance-addicted brother, 27, I'll be referring to him as Mac, who thought he was going to make it big in the music scene because of all the different illicit substances he was willing to do. He thought being on acid made him play as well as Jimi Hendrix because Hendrix did acid. This is relevant because in one of his many substance-induced rampages, Mac was convinced his USB microphone was in my room. So Mac knocks on the door while I'm away, convinces my dad that he was recording in my room, and left it there. It was never there. He was never there. My dad was so wrapped around Mac's manipulative finger that he never questioned anything he did. I kept careful inventory of my room because my parents and siblings would steal from me all the time and try to use my bedroom as a storage room for all sorts of things. Thinking back, his excuse was likely just to steal from me like the rest of my family did. Mac goes into my room, tosses the place like out of a movie scene during one of his notorious benders. He flips the mattress, empties out every dresser drawer on the floor. Nothing was left the way I left it. After all was said and done, I had to spend 3 days cleaning and reorganizing my room because of how badly this tweaker destroyed everything of mine. Things were broken, clothes everywhere, bins and boxes dumped on the floor. It was like a tornado had rampaged through a trailer park in Iowa. My dad had heard all of this going on and did nothing. I showed my dad the mess. Dad just shrugs and says, "He's in his 20s. What do you expect me to do?" How about fracking stop his strung-out butt from tossing the place? How about at least calling him to have him clean up his mess? I replied. He practically ignored me and before walking off said, "He was looking for his microphone, and you need to just deal with it." Going to my mom was no different. Mom was so terrorized by him that she wanted no part of anything involving him because she felt unsafe. I can't blame her. He became aggressive when challenged on anything he did wrong. Realizing nothing was going to be done by my parents, and this was no matter to call the police over since Dad let him in the house, I did exactly what my dad said and dealt with it. I tried to be diplomatic at first and asked him to come clean up my room. He laughs, makes fun of me, then says, "I needed my microphone." I asked if he found it. I know he didn't because I knew where it was, over in my dad's garage. He never answered. I scooped up the microphone to hide it even better, stuffed into the rafters of an old shed on the outskirts of the property, inside of a large PVC pipe stacked up with other pipes. It's where he went to smoke his substances sometimes, so I knew he wouldn't be looking for it there due to the paranoia of being caught by any of us. I gave Mac one final warning text to clean it up or else. He again made fun of me. "Crybaby shrew. How difficult is it to clean your own room? You're just a lazy piece of smeg." Oh, that last one really torqued me because he was a thief and did everything he could to get out of work. Later that night, I decided to do my best Tom Petty impersonation. I leave my parents' house to sit around a campfire at a friend's house. I waited until I left because then Mac couldn't find me. Neither could my dad. I knew my dad was going to simp for him and defend him yet again. I waited until Mac would have been nice and comfortable at home. I lit my first cigarette of the night and promised myself that nothing would stop my ensuing plan until I smoked the whole pack. I had recently learned how to make an SMS bomb. At the time, you could add the same contact into your SMS app multiple times for a group chat. I believe it was up to 30 on the phone I had. For every one SMS/MMS I sent him, he received 30 in total. I spent hours sending messages to Mac. If I had a cigarette in my mouth, I was text bombing him. I spent from 9 p.m. until 4 a.m. sending Mac thousands upon thousands of text and picture messages. I have now dropped a Hiroshima-sized text bomb on the fancy BlackBerry he was so proud of buying a week or two before this. For anyone wondering, it was simply a copy and pasted text that said, "This stops when my room is clean," and a picture of the mess he had made. I alternated back and forth. This took very little effort, left him inundated with notifications every 1 to 3 seconds. This effectively DDoS'd his phone into oblivion. It was locked up tighter than a New York subway car. He could not call, text, or even open anything on his phone other than my text messages. Dad starts frantically calling me around 1 a.m. I ignored it. Then my mom calls me and leaves a voicemail for me to call him, worried it's an emergency. I call Dad back. Dad picks up the phone, screaming at me. "His phone is locked up and he can't use it. You need to stop this right fracking now." I replied, "He needs to go and clean up the mess he made of my room right fracking now, or just deal with it like I have to." The argument continues for a while longer. The entire time, he's defending Mac tooth and nail. Eventually, I broke it to my dad that there was nothing I could do to stop the flow of messages and notifications. He hung up and never brought it up again. After the smoke had cleared, pun intended, I found out Mac had his BlackBerry locked up for 10 days. He wasn't able to respond to a job offer and wasn't smart enough to leave an alternate contact. The job went to someone else by the time Mac was able to return their call. He was still going to be stuck at the job he loathed for a while longer. His phone plan had a monthly SMS/MMS and data limit that I absolutely destroyed. The month's bill was over $300. I want to say closer to $400. His live-in girlfriend was also ticked because they had to leave the phone on and plugged into a charger to let it process the messages from my mass messaging campaign the night before. The notifications made the phone unusable, and they were stuck listening to the notification sounds for those 10 days. They tried stuffing it inside a blanket, but the phone would get too hot, and they were worried it would start a fire. On the counter, plugged into an outlet, it sat, keeping them awake and annoyed constantly. About another 2 months rolled past. I finally decided he could have his microphone back. Kind of. I took it out of hiding and stuffed it in his keyboard box that was also stored at my parents' house. He found it there not too long after and never even apologized for what he did. Not that I ever expected him to. He even bragged about finally finding it. He never went into my room again without my permission out of fear of his phone being locked up again. Ooh, yes. Didn't have to be a hacker, just a little bit of knowledge. And just really, I hope this person found his way out of that house soon enough where he had some more freedom. It sounds like they were covering for him. I wonder if they knew what an addict Mac was. And probably, it sounds like they would probably defend him even if they did find out. Oh, he's just going through a lot of pressure. Oh, this and that. It just, I hope this guy, this is the person telling this story really enjoys freedom, so I hope he's able to find it.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.